So you might be trying to figure out whether academia is incompatible with family life and having kids and, having a spouse and, just having a regular life. And this is something that I struggled with for a long time. So if you don't know me, I'm an associate professor of innovation strategy and entrepreneurship, and I created this whole reciprocity project to give back as much as I possibly can. There were so many people that helped me out that I wanted to pay the favor forward and to help you out. So hopefully this video is not going to take too long, because I actually want to go for a long walk with my family right now. I've got my wife. We've been married since 2005, and it's 2020. 2020, and then I've got 2 kids as well, and we are, both of us have careers. I'm a professor, and she's in the health profession as she's doing extremely well in that career, and we have to balance life, and family life is really challenging in academia sometimes. So you might hear a lot of people say that it is incompatible to have a family and have a life in academia. And, what I'm here to say is that it really just depends on what you choose to do with what you're trying to do and how you actually frame the problem of being in academia and what you're actually trying to do, right? So for me, and I see lots of people do both of them. I see lots of people sort of prioritizing academia in terms of not, prioritizing the family, but prioritizing the career. But at the same time, I see other people sort of balancing it at the same time and doing, both of them. I try to spend time with my family because I want to make sure that my kids are actually doing really well for themselves and they're well adjusted. And, my wife is not mad at me right now. I'm stretching the limit in terms of how long I've spent on these videos. But, I want to, make sure that we're balancing all these different priorities. And so what I look at is it's really about thinking about your long run priorities and optimizing not just on paper publications and research publications that you have in the short run, which is what we can do, but also thinking about the family unit and ensuring that you have survival of the family unit, whatever that is, and yourself as well, right? We can work extremely hard. And then sometimes if you work too much, your family life is going to suffer. And if you spend too much in your family life, your work is going to suffer at the same time, right? So it's trying to balance those. And it's not necessarily balance all the time, but it's balancing and thinking about, how do you actually get through this, ensure that everybody is happy and healthy and we're all doing okay, right? So nothing in the short run is ever going to work in the sense that, if you're trying to do one thing or the other and really trying to balance that, and you try to optimize on one, you just know that you're probably taking away from the other. And this is a real normal process no matter what career you're in. It's very entrepreneurial, and if you're, it's very much what an entrepreneur has to do. And so you have to live in accordance what is healthy for you as an individual and not what everybody else thinks. So that's the big thing when you have a family, is thinking about, how do you actually sustain having a family and making sure that it's a healthy thing for all of you. And so what I like to do and think about is thinking about building walls and protecting your life and well-being in academia, making sure that everybody is healthy and that you have pretty good mental health, and ebbs and flows like everybody has. And so sometimes you don't have necessarily great mental health, and then you have to invest in it and actually do really proactive things with that. And the other thing to do is to reach out to resources when you need help with those things, right? So looking at how you can get help from family and friends, for example. A lot of people do that, especially people coming from other countries. That's really a big norm, but being Canadian is maybe not necessarily as much of a norm to have relatives and stuff living at your house all the time. But it does tend to happen, and you might get resources in the sense of getting daycares and looking for ways that you can get help in as many ways as you can. Now, a lot of people are going to say that there's one right way, but for me, I don't think that there's ever a right way. It's just a way that ever works for you. And you have to sort of start understanding that and getting confidence that that thing is right for you. There's not a great way for anybody to deal with life. And once you start realizing that, that actually becomes a sort of powerful thing for you to deal with all these sort of situations. The other thing that you have to think about is that if you become more rigid and constrained with one, then you have to be a lot more flexible with the other thing. And where you end up and what you end up doing is really dependent on that. So, if you want to do well in the academic career, then you probably have to be flexible in other areas. And so you look for different ways that you can work around this, ensure that everybody is healthy with the situation, right? So looking at how you can balance the family life and prioritizing amongst your family unit, whatever that would be, ensuring that everybody is healthy. So if somebody is going to be the main lead in terms of productivity in your family, then somebody else probably has to look after all the other things, and then you have to sort of pitch in with all that things around you. And the last thing I want to point out, and this is important because I want to get going and go for this walk, is you really have to love your own life and really focus on what you're happy about with your life rather than focusing on everybody else's. And this is something that I battle with. It's hard. We all struggle with this, but you always have to sort of think about how are you actually happy with your situation, because you can't affect. You don't have a locus of control at all over somebody else, and you have this sort of imaginary view of this somebody else in the world around you. And so you have to focus on yourself and making sure that you are doing okay, and really looking at that your life is the thing that you actually want. And that's the really important lesson going forward. So with that is give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Do subscribe to the YouTube channel. Take care. And we'll see you on the next video. Bye. Oh, I gotta go walk.